Everyone's doing well, and welcome back to another weekly outlook. So cool. Bit of a boring week, all in all, if I'm being honest. If we quickly just start from the DXY, take a look at our daily chart. Of course, there's a good bit of movement here, but not a day much was offered in my eyes on the Friday, and within the rest of the, sort of candles, you guys can see it was a bit choppy, a bit consolidated. I know we did manage to get one sort of trade breakdown out, which wasn't bad, right? But apart from that, a bit of a shaky week, right? Somewhere where we were sort of just sitting, waiting for the bias to become clear. So now I think, things still hang in the balance. The bias isn't completely clear, but things are definitely shaping up, right? Let's start off on our US 30 year first of all, right? So cool. If you guys remember from the start of the year, the first or weekly outlook that was published, this was the target for the time being. Price has taken this buy side, and we've got quite a nice reaction, right? Price is looking to close below this for the time being. If this candle flips bearish, I think that would be very significant, right? And it will be good. And we only have 6 days left on the monthly candle for that to occur, right? So cool. When we come on our weekly chart, see, that push above, close below. Not very telling from the last candle, but when we come down to the daily, what we can see is, you have the initial displacement, you have a bit of a retracement happening, and from here, it's a bit of a case for both sides, right? Because this could simply be a quick OTE to then go push back to these highs, or is this displacement going to hold, and is the OTE this way to push lower, right? In scenarios like this, you just need a bit of patience. Right, especially as I showed you guys, what's going to be very significant is that monthly candle close. If this candle flips bearish, closes, somewhere down here, then it just sets you up with a very easy bias for the following candle. Right, if that happens, then it will be easy to say, okay, cool, I want DXY to go lower from here. Now, from here, just generally, I do think we head lower. Right, I do want to see the DXY head lower. I do think, things are lining up quite well. Trump's been inaugurated. We had that sort of manipulative run before. And since his inauguration, I believe the distribution may have begun, right? We come over to the US 10-year. It's a very, very similar scenario. We'll start on that monthly candle. You guys can see very nice sweep on buy side, trade straight back into the range. Again, very similar. The weekly chart isn't as telling, but even in the short term, I think, we head low. I think at least at a minimum, we will be taking this sort of trend line, these equal lows, and then trading into this range. We can see what we want to see next. But I think it becomes the clearest on the DXY, right? Week left in the month. This is how the monthly candle currently looks. Accumulation, manipulation, this is what we were talking about. And now I believe we may possibly be entering that distribution phase. This candle is very nice. If we can close lower, right? If we can close through this weekly fair value gap with a solid blocky candle next week, pushing somewhere for this low, then I would assume that we have a daily market maker sell model in play. Even now, it's shaping up to, look like it's already a daily market maker sell model. The only thing that sort of puts me off on jumping the gun is the fact that we're in this weekly fair value gap. If price, comes and sweeps previous weekly low perhaps and trades back higher, respecting this, then, the bias wouldn't be as solid. If we come into next week, we're getting a sort of retracement into this range, into this daily range, respecting this high, and then price is then hammering down, I think the bias will be pretty clear. And I think, as I've said to you guys earlier before in the last videos, we'll have a very clear bias for the upcoming few months at the very least. We would like to see, price run low, 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 and complete that AMD, but headed below this consolidation, right? So cool. I think the sort of short-term game plan coming into this week specifically is waiting for price to just react from here. Now, if we quickly look at the economic calendar, not much happening on the Monday. CB consumer confidence on the Tuesday. Come over, we have the FOMC this week, which will be the main mover of the week, which is on the Wednesday. And I believe will make things very, very clear. It's the first FOMC of the year. You know, there's been a lot of speculation. So I think when they have this, it will sort of put a lot of things into bed, just make things very clear and set the sentiment for the year going forward. Then, of course, we have the GDP on the Thursday following the FOMC. We also have the interest rate change for the euro, and then a couple folders on the Friday as well. So clearly, as we spoke about, you know, in the previous weekly outlook about candle formation and what we expect, it looks like the latter end of the week, past the midweek, things will be clearer. That's when, you know, I would say we have a higher probability of getting a trading day rather than right at the start, especially with what I said to you guys. We sit in an array where we could expect a reversal, but looking at, you know, sort of higher time frame, how the monthly candle shaping up, it's also a possibility we close through this, disrespect it. So it's, you know, sort of like, which scenario is it? You know? And in that case, right, where we're just not clear, it's simply a matter of waiting, right? What I would say, things to pay attention to is, if Monday consolidates, right, it's not a large range day, then it's very likely this candle will become a daily fair value gap. This is a candle I would watch. If this becomes a daily fair value gap, price may trade into this to then set up the expansion from there. Aside from that, it's likely we might even see consolidation to just begin the week. CB consumer confidence as a red folder isn't always a massive impact, and price may stay quite tight for the FOMC this week, right? So cool. GBP. We still wanted to see this get hit. It hasn't been hit, right? That specific area is a weekly fair value gap. Take a look at that. However, price has swept a lot of buy side. It's engineered some liquidity into it. So again, it's, you know, it's a bit of an interesting area. You know, is this a retracement or is this a reverse? What I would like to see and what I would focus on the time, or for the time being, is seeing how price reacts to a previous weekly low sweep and potentially traded into this fair value gap, this large displacement. If we can get a bounce from this area, it's very likely we're heading back up here at a very minimum. If we trade lower and we start showing, you know, bearish order flow on the daily time frame, right? Let's say we trade lower, retrace, then second leg lower, and then we've started trading through this fair value gap, then it's very likely we are locked back onto this sell side and of course this sell side here. So again, not a very clear bias, but we do have a lot of movers for the euro coming up this week. So by the end of the week, hopefully it should be clear, and you know, that's just how you guys have to see it sometimes, and the GBP, sorry. And you know, just generally, guys, I think if you look at last week, I think if you look at the week before, I told you guys, anytime there's a good trade breakdown to be made or any actual setup that I'm taking, I will try to make a breakdown if there's any substance to it. And this month, there's only been, I believe, 2 up on the channel, right? Just goes to show, right, how many trading days have there been in the month so far. The monthly candles almost done. Just how it is sometimes. When things aren't clear, we have to be patient. When things are trending, that's when we're executing and, you know, getting involved in the market. Right, so cool. Cool. Again, you know, we mentioned this, you know, with Bitcoin, it gets very repetitive. We end up saying the same things because what happens is once it does eventually move, it tends to go back into these accumulations and just not move for a little while. But again, coming from that monthly IO Fed, we had this consolidation. So manipulate here, monthly IO Fed distribution this way. That distribution has taken place and now price is traded back into the range. The area that I told you guys to watch for the retracement was this daily fair value gap. This was retraced to, then from there price at the highs. We've come back, we've respected it again. So for the time being, I still want to see Bitcoin higher. I don't think there's a major reason for us to go lower right now, aside from the fact that we're taking both sides of the range, so there's a possibility that we start consolidating. But with FOMC coming up, if it comes out as, you know, they're going to be bearish on the DXY, essentially, right? They're going to start cutting the rates, and that's the sort of expectation they put in place, then we could definitely see this chart move higher. One thing I would say in general is I see people making crazy calls, right, on sort of Bitcoin saying, oh, you know, we're going to 1 million, we're going to 300k a coin, right? Guys, trust me, just as a basis, right? Let me give you guys a quick lesson. I think most of you understand how market cap works, right? If you quickly Google, right, I'll do it right now. Did it on my phone. So if you're going, it's called companiesmarketcap.com, and you do the top assets by market cap, right? So the biggest asset in the world is gold at 14.9 trillion. Then we have Nvidia, which is a company, almost 3 trillion. Apple around 2.5 trillion. Then Microsoft, then Amazon, then Google, and then Bitcoin at 1.6 trillion, right? So what does this mean? When Bitcoin is worth what it is worth right now, which is 104k USD, its market cap is 1.6 trillion, right? So now let's assume, right, there's people out there that say, oh, Bitcoin is going to become 1 million per coin, right? I know that's a bit of an exaggeration, but there are people that say that. Just logically, guys, if Bitcoin was to become 1 million per coin, the market cap of Bitcoin would have to go from 1.6 trillion to 16 trillion. It would be overtaking gold. It would overtake gold and all those other companies in between that are listed. Sometimes you just think, how realistic is that all that money in the world is suddenly just going to flow into Bitcoin? Because bear in mind, this money's not coming out of thin air. And is it likely to happen, right? Even Bitcoin doubling from here, right? Bitcoin going from 100k to 200k, it would overtake every single asset apart from gold. And even that, to think is, is it realistic? Is it possible, right? There's always a very slim chance, but is it realistic that in this run out of nowhere, we're just going to double in price and double in market cap? No, right? That's why it's very important understanding that as bigger the asset gets, right, it's likely the movement may not be as exaggerated. Right? It might not be the same as, when Bitcoin had the previous run, that's suddenly out of nowhere, you get massive 40% moves and whatnot. As the price is increasing, the percentage side of the moves can potentially decrease, right? And as a rule of thumb, it generally will. Because it's worth more, so that movement is a bit harder to make because you need even more money coming in. Right? But yeah, that's just a bit of a mini lesson on understanding. Don't listen to everybody on social media that's exaggerating about crypto prices. You can apply it. And by the way, guys, they say this about Bitcoin, but they say it about every coin. They'll grab the most random coin, for example, like, I don't know, XRP or something, right? Let's quickly search XRP market cap. The market cap of XRP is currently 180 billion, right? And it is worth $3. I've seen people on my timeline saying, oh, XRP is going to $100. That's a 33x from here, right? 180 is 5.9 trillion. So XRP would have to be bigger than Bitcoin. Is that realistic? Right? Most likely not. 99% chance not, right? If I'm wrong, somebody can come back, call me out on this video, but it's just not happening, right? So that's why when people say prices, always think about the market. How big is this coin already? Does it actually have a reason to move that much, right? Is there something they're making which is groundbreaking and, there's going to be institutional investment, blah, blah, blah. Is it actually going to be able to do that? Most of the time, your answer is going to be no. Right? So always be realistic in your targets. So cool. Lastly, we'll touch on the S&P as usual. Nice monthly IOFED from patterns like this, right? Well, I say IOFED, it's not IOFED. It's a previous monthly low sweep and a move higher. This is a bullish order block created on the monthly. I think this is pointing towards higher prices. I think the next candle coming, we would anticipate higher prices, and definitely seems the case here. You've got an accumulation, we've got the manipulation going under sell side, and then a very nice expansive move this way, very strong, right? And I would expect this to continue. When we look on our weekly, even nicer, you've got this range that was created, right? So from here, high to low, retracement, and now again, we've got low to high, and now we've got a new low to high being created. So going into this next week, possibly we get the expansion up, right? And that would build the range to then set up the new month to retrace here and then see even higher prices, right? That's the sort of scenario I'm looking at. Again, like I said, you guys, none of this bias is set in stone purely because we have FOMC this week, and that's definitely going to shake up the sentiment. I feel like there's been a lot of speculation in the markets in general, so people that were wrong, right, whichever way it goes, there's going to be a lot of movement and volatility. So I think it's a thing of just having a bit of patience, letting things become clear, and hopefully as we head into February, week from now, the bias going into that monthly candle will be a bit clearer, and if the market's trending, it'll be a lot easier for us to take advantage. Yeah, guys, that is it for the weekly outlook. Any questions, any help, just drop a message below or join the Telegram chat and I'll be happy to